Hey, Facebook, how's it going? Hold on, let me record my audio. All right, we are in business. We had no technical difficulties. Welcome to Coffee is for Closers. This is episode number, I think we are at 41, you guys. We have been doing this for 41 weeks. I don't know what's more consistent than that, but I am called Miss Consistent. Don't call me the Pitch Queen anymore. Just call me Miss Consistent. Haha. Anyway, it's awesome to be here with you guys. Today we're talking about one of my favorite topics. I think all of the topics here are my favorite, if I can recall, because I feel like I say that all the time. But today we're talking about the dangers of selling after a prospect's already sold. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're a small business owner, this stuff will apply to you because all the time you have signed up for a 24/7 sales career. And for those of you that might not know me or might have forgotten about who I am, my name is Michelle, aka the Pitch Queen. I don't like my last name because it's associated with someone who hasn't done a lot of nice things in the world. And I've been selling and a lot of stuff for a lot of years. I've worked at Nordstrom. I had my own business actually in high school. I was a lifeguard and a swim instructor, and I would teach kids how to swim in the parents' backyards. I grew up in Phoenix and everyone had a pool. So I spent a lot of time in the sun. I used to be really, really tan until I got skin cancer. So I don't go in the sun anymore, which means I'm albino white, which is totally cool because every time I go to the dermatologist, she's like, wow, Michelle, you're really white. I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you so much for noticing. But I really used to be as tan as possible. And I'm not anymore. So anyway, long story short, I had a company, for those of you that know me a while, called Fitzy Foods, which I closed a year ago. And now here I am, and I am the Pitch Queen. And I'm all about teaching entrepreneurs and business owners, especially if you sell a high ticket offer, meaning that you're selling a service of $3,000 to $5,000 up to $60,000, $80,000 of value to your clients. And you probably have a service-based business. Now, I can help you with anything, products, pitching, raising money, Shark Tank if you want to get on that show. I've done it all. But my main focus is really with those of you who are selling monthly retainer services or one-time higher offer value services. So that's a little bit of history about me. It's awesome to be here with you guys. And for those of you that are watching live, if you can just comment below who you are, where you're from, and what's your business, because I see a bunch of you right here. That would be really awesome. So put down below who you are, your name, what's your business, and what do you want to learn as it relates to sales, okay? So do that real quick, and then we're going to get into the topic of today. But I felt like I have not done an intro, and you might be wondering, why does this person do this every single week for 40 weeks? That's why. So again, put down below what you do, who you are, where you're from, what's your business. I know Percy, you have a custom clothing line that's super awesome. Blue Fire Coffee Roasters. I know you sent me some coffee, and I can't wait to get that because this is Coffee is for Closers. Yep. So you guys on Facebook, what do you do? I don't see any comments. What do you do? Where are you from? Okay, well, you snooze, you lose. We're going to get into what we're talking about today. Let me figure out the techie part. Hold on. Okay, so you guys can see my screen now. So again, today on Coffee is for Closers is the dangers of selling after your prospect is already sold. And I used to probably do this a lot back in the day, but I think if you're starting out or you're a new entrepreneur, you're kind of new to business, this might be happening more often than you think. So we'll go over the cup of wisdom, the dangers of continuing to talk after your clients have told you yes, why the attention should always be on your client, what keeps people from stopping and not enrolling with you. Enrolling means actually working with you, paying you, wanting to work with you. You can use whatever word there. Enrolling is the one I like to use. Knowing the signs that your client is already sold. Okay, very important. And we'll leave it with some energy for the soul. So 90% of selling is actually conviction and 10% is persuasion. And I'm not sure if everyone here knows that, but I truly do believe that this is true. And this is from a quote from Shiv Kira. Hopefully I didn't butcher the name, who is a keynote speaker and an activist. But if your client has already had the conviction of the belief, right? They've got the belief part. It will be really easy to get the persuasion part. I do believe that some people need to get pushed a little bit. And again, professionally pushed. We only talk about being professionally annoying here at Coffee is for Closers. And I'll give you a little bit of an example because this actually happened to me last week. I was working with a guy and he was going to enroll in my friend's course, which I know you guys know because we talk about it all the time. And she has a really great education for accountants, right? He's a new accountant. I'm going to give him his name so we don't use his real name as Leroy. Okay, so we have Leroy. And Leroy was talking to me and I could really tell that he did not want to start a traditional CPA firm. Leroy really wanted to start a CPA firm selling really high value services, not doing a ton of compliance work and tax returns, and having 1,000 clients where really Leroy wanted 70 clients that are paying him $15,000 per client per year. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what my friend teaches, right? So he was giving every single buying signal that you could ever imagine, right? But at the end, when it got to the payment part where he actually had to enroll in the class, granted, Leroy also has a full-time stable job, making like over $125,000 a year. So really the money wasn't the problem. He had the belief that he wants to create a legacy and he wanted to create a business for him and his son where his son could maybe help him out in the future. However, the comfort zone that he was in, being in his job, it was very hard for him to get over the side because I'm like, well, Leroy, do you want to be a wantrepreneur or do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because right now, guess what? You're still at a job. And you can do this on the side and actually have the time to grow the practice of your dreams and get the clients that you love to work with. Because most of us don't have that luxury, right? Most of you might be at a job, you might be doing a side hustle, or you might have dove 2 feet in and all in your swimming pool, swimming around trying to figure out your business. But do you want to work with 1,000 people or do you want to work with 100 people? So Leroy, I had to have 2 calls with him, each at an hour long, 2 hours, which I don't typically do, but I had, and I knew that in my heart, Leroy, this was the thing he needed. This is what he needed to set himself up differently from all the other CPAs out there. And I knew he really wanted to learn the work because he was really smart and he didn't want to do the boring work. So, tax planning is not as boring as doing like a tax return for maybe someone who's super intelligent that wants to focus more on the high value work. So with Leroy, that 10% persuasion is where I had to guide him to a decision to actually enroll in the course. And he told me at the end, which is super funny, he's like, Michelle, you're really good. I said, well, thank you. I've had a lot of practice. But he goes, you're like a little bit pushy. I'm like, well, I wouldn't call it really pushy. I just helped you make a decision. Ultimately, this is your decision. You can do this, Leroy, or you cannot. It's not going to change my life, but I know it's going to help you get to your goal of creating a practice that you love and really helping your son and creating the legacy that you want too. So, I just helped you see that it was possible. That's all I did. And then yesterday, he had a couple more questions and we were talking and, all these things kept coming up and we're going to go into it, but like fear comes up for people and all these other things. But as a business owner, it's your job to help guide them to a decision. And if Leroy chose to enroll or if Leroy chose to go a different way, that's on him. But it's not going to change my decision. But again, with this quote, right, 90% of selling is conviction, but 10% is persuasion. And it is our job to help our clients persuade them into making a decision. So that's where this comes down to. And if you don't help them come to a decision and you leave them in indecision, you're actually doing them a disservice and hurting them, like we have talked about a lot here before. So that is my story with Leroy, and hopefully you found that fascinating because I thought it was perfect for today's topic. What do you guys think about that? Put it in the comments below. What do y'all think about what I'm saying? Lots of comments on Instagram. I cannot keep up. I'll get to them at the end. What about you guys on Facebook? What are you all thinking? What's your guys' take on this? Who's here? 4 people. Thumbs up, hearts. We love hearts and thumbs. So if you want to give some thumbs up and hearts, go for it now. Is a great time as we transition into the danger of continuing to talk after someone says yes. Why do people do that? I don't get it. Like, I totally don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Etta liked the story. Cool. Etta, what'd you like about that story? What resonated with you? Chris, aka not another sales guy from London. Hey, Chris. Hey, when I come to London this summer, I'll hit you up. We should meet up for sure. Not another sales guy. Wow, you guys are on Instagram and Facebook. This is so cool. All right. Well, put down in the comments below what you all think. Again, hearts, likes, and shares are awesome. If you can hit the share button on Facebook, that's you guys. That would be great because that really helps the show spread. It spread its wings to your friends. And I do believe that a lot of the stories that I share will help and benefit your other pals who are entrepreneurs or business owners, right? Yeah, it was his idea. Yeah, in sales, yeah, totally, Etta. In sales, it's got to be their idea. You can't put any words into somebody's mouth. That won't get you anywhere, right? Okay, so let's go over this, and I've got another story to share. I was trying to think of some really good ones, but I'll show you the slide real quick. So this might happen. So this is about you. Why are you talking yourself out of a sale, right? And it happens after even like a client might say yes to you. But this might happen because of caution and fear on your part. So you might want to look at where do you need to stop the brakes a little bit. You don't know what to say at all. Maybe you're stumbling on your words. You don't know when to stop talking. I know a few times here on Coffee is for Closers, we have discussed that you must listen 80% of the time and only talk 20% of the time. If you keep talking after someone already says yes, and if you don't ask for the credit card when you continue talking, then that's the problem. However, if you say, how would you like to pay, Visa or MasterCard, then that's a good thing you can say. But if you keep talking, then you got a problem. If you're not in a neutral state, so last week we talked about with Ross about being in a neutral state. So that's not being overly confident. It's not being confident. It's just being even keel, right? And you're focusing more on the sale than on the relationship. That's another reason why you might be talking yourself out of a sale. And you might talk them out of working with you because remember, people buy for their reason and not your reasons. That it's our job to show people why they buy is that it's their choice. It's not our choice. So, really talking yourself out of a sale could, it's not only going to hurt your client, right? Because if they don't work with you, then how are you going to help them solve their problems? But it's really about you can hurt yourself too. So here's the thing. I don't have a really good story for this because I don't talk myself out of the sale too often. Because I can't remember a time I ever did. But let me tell you, if you continue to talk, and I think this is the major takeaway from this, if you hear someone say, yes, this sounds great, and if the next word out of your mouth isn't, wonderful, let's get you started on Monday, we'll do your sign up today, we'll get all the paperwork done, and we'll get started on Monday, and you don't ask for a payment, and you still keep going and talking about all of the value that you're going to sell and all the benefits that they're going to get. Like, it doesn't matter. They're already bought into you. So if you keep talking about the benefits and all the stuff that they're going to get from working with you after they're already made their decision, you can actually reverse engineer the wrong thing that you're looking for, which is they're going to say, you know what? You keep talking. And actually, I thought of this reason now why I don't want to do this, and now you lost out and they lost out. Does that make sense? So maybe for today, think about a time where that actually happened to you and reflect on it. Because I know it does happen to quite a few people. For me, what I always say, and I'll tell you exactly what I do, like with Leroy. Is that what I called him? Leroy, yeah. So when I heard Leroy say, you know what, this is really what I want to do, I said, great, Leroy, let's get you started. I know you want to get started next week after the tax deadline. Do you want to use American Express or MasterCard to do your payment? Oh, and by the way, we have financial aid options too, if that's something that you need. And that's how I gracefully asked for the payment, because until someone actually pays, you guys, it's not real. If someone says you, hey, I'm going to mail you a check and we'll get started in like a week or two, guess what? You're never probably going to see that check. Or even with my days of raising money, people would say, oh yeah, I'm going to invest $250,000 in my last business. Oh, okay, great. So let's get the check. Once you get the check in hand, the check needs to go in the bank and actually clear, and the money needs to sit there for 3 days. That's the only time you know it's real. If someone says that they're going to pay you tomorrow, the next day, I'm sorry, but that's BS. It doesn't happen that way, you guys. I've raised millions of dollars. I have sold hundreds of high-level programs. Let me tell you, the decision is made when the payment is made. End of story. Okay? Who agrees? Put in the comments below. What do you all think? Am I out of whack, or are we all on the same page? Hey, Sean, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. Great take. Yeah, I know it's a great take. Come on. So what do you guys think? When was the time that you had danger of continuing to talk after someone told you yes and you lost out on a client? Like it actually hurt you, right? I can't wait to get my coffee, Blue Coffee Roasters. A tour will be included. Cool. Chris just told me I'm going to get a tour when I go to London. That's awesome. I make new friends on Facebook Live. If you guys are on Facebook right now, can you hit the share button and share it with all your friends, please? Maybe I'll give away a hat. Where's my hat? You see that hat right there? I'll give that one away. Okay, hit the share button. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Or if you guys want to put in the comments below, I can't see. Oh, here we go. Totally on the same page. Sometimes you have to just shut up and let them sign up. Yeah, shut up and let them sign up. That's a great one, ain't it, rhymes? I like that, Isaac. Shut up and sign up. But don't say that because that's kind of rude. But you can think that in your head. All right, we're going to make this next one short because I know we've talked about it a lot. But one of the next reasons why you might be losing clients or talking yourself out of a sale is because the attention should really be on the client. And the biggest one I want to talk about today of this, here are, hold on a second. Okay. So the biggest takeaway that I want you to take away from today is really about making their story. No. Let me start over. Okay. Why the attention should be on the client. Remember that serving is selling, right? The client, and it's not about you. And if your clients want to hear your story, you can briefly explain it, but what I want you to think about is how do you transition your story into their story? And I'm going to give you a great example, so pay close attention because this key information is actually what will help you enroll the clients in working with you, getting the clients that you really truly want to work with, and learning what's important to you and maybe what's not important to you. So again, how do you make your story their story? And I'm going to give you an example. I was working with this other girl, okay? She lived in Minnesota. We're going to call her Molly. Molly in Minnesota. So Molly told me that she lives in Minnesota and she has a business and she really wants to, grow her sales or whatever it was. And I am from Minnesota. That's where I was born. So for all you guys that don't know, I am Michelle, right? The pitch queen. And I grew up in Minnesota and I was born in a blizzard. So we were stuck at the hospital for a really long time. That's what my parents told me at least. But anyway, I said, oh my gosh, Molly, like I'm from Minnesota too. Like how cool is that? And she was asking me a lot of personal questions. So tell me a little bit about you. Again, it's great to build rapport and build a really great relationship with our clients. But here's the thing. This conversation has to be about your clients. It's not about you. So I was trying to make my story, said, okay, how can I answer Molly, share a little bit about me, but really relate it back to her? And so this is really, I think, a big takeaway from why the attention should always be on your clients is because you want them to take the show. This is their stage, not your stage. But a lot of our clients that we talk to, they have fear in talking to you too. They probably think they're going to get sold or whatever their beliefs are about what's about to happen, which is why they ask you a lot of questions, right? So how do you turn your story into theirs? So I said, you know what, Molly? Yeah, I'm from Minnesota. I actually was born in Minnetonka. She had lived in Brooklyn Park, which are really close because we lived in Brooklyn Park too. And I said, that's so cool. You know, I was actually a figure skater back in the day and we talked about that. And I said, you know, what are the things that you love to do? And I turned my story into her story. And then she started to share what she loves to do and what are her free time activities. And I was able to shift the conversation for her to have the stage and her to have the platform and her to talk about herself. Because at the end of the day, serving our clients, it's all about them. Does that make sense? Anybody have a question on that? It's very important, right? It's very important when we're talking about what we're talking about, which is the dangers of selling after your prospect's already sold. But again, one of them is why the attention should always be on your client. The second you take center stage, it's done. You can't take center stage, you guys. Pretend you're on a basketball court, okay? And your client is Kobe Bryant. Well, not anymore. He doesn't play, right? But Kobe Bryant is on the basketball court and you're in the stands cheering him on. That's what we do with our clients. You're in the stands cheering on the superstar who's on the court. That was a good analogy. I'm proud of myself. What do you all think? What do you guys think? Comments below, please. Otherwise, I don't know if you're here. It's like, you know, I mean, I understand I'm talking to like 4 cameras right now, but what are you all drinking? Type it in the comments below. Are you having smoothies? I know Garen always has a smoothie. Etta, I don't know what you drink all the time, but you could put it down below. And also, if you're on Facebook, if you guys could share it, that would be awesome. Thumbs up. We got 8 thumbs up so far. You guys are awesome. Todd said you make a good point about money being the evidence they made a decision. Oh yeah. Money is, I have heard so many things like, oh yeah, like we'll just sign up tomorrow. Here's my thing, okay? I have been told this before, like, oh, well, Michelle, can we talk tomorrow? You know, I really just, I need to gather my finances. Like someone told me this and they made $250,000 a year, okay? I said, gather your finances? I go, can you tell me something, Susie? I go, Susie, what's going to change between right now and tomorrow on your finances? I think the amount of room on your credit card is going to be the same. Is that correct? I said, I actually think there's something else coming up for you right now that actually has nothing to do with the reason you just told me. Yeah, money is everything, Todd. Totally. Etta drinks water, just like me. You guys, here's the thing. It is coffee is for closers, but I drink espresso every morning. If I had another double shot right now, I would be buzzing around this place like a buzzard. And I wouldn't be able to sit straight. So, yeah, I can't do that. All right, next topic. We're going to skip that one, or otherwise we're going to be here for an hour. All right, so let's go over the signs that your clients are already sold. When do you already know a client is interested and wants to work with you, right? Like, what do you need to look out for? What things should you be looking for, hearing for? We have talked about this in the past, but I think it's good to do a little overview. And I will think about something that would be unique with Leroy. Let me think about Leroy, okay? So, knowing the signs that your client is already sold, that is one of the next steps to making sure you know when to stop talking. Or if you're going to talk, then you're going to ask for a payment, right? Because we know that money is the evidence that they made a decision. So maybe they ask you about next steps. Maybe they agree that they believe that you will be able to help them. They actually say that. People will actually say that. Maybe they're actually writing down their calculations, right? Or they say, I need to gather my finances. If they say that, that means they're in, guys. That's a good thing. There is a plan in place, or your clients are saying when and not if. Got to think of the words, right? When means like right now, if means in the future. And listen, listen, listen. I'm just going to repeat myself again. I know I've said it 8 million other times, but we have to listen 80% of the time and let our clients talk 20. 80-20 rule. There's this really good book called the 80-20 principle if you've never read it before, but it's really great. It's great on all fronts. It's great about the listening. It's great about, how much revenue you generate. Like probably 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your top clients. This 80-20 thing is seriously on point. So make sure to check that out if you need a book. It's called the 80-20 principle. Okay? So again, the signs of knowing when your clients is sold is really important. So with Leroy, since we're talking about Leroy, he was telling me things like, this sounds great. This is exactly what I was looking for. You might even hear, this sounds too good to be true. When you hear that, you know that someone's interested. It just sounds too good to be true, which I hear all the time. If you're hearing that, that means that there's so much value that it's almost like, how is this even possible, right? It's like, this is such a good deal. So that's another one you're going to have to maybe overcome when we, go back through objections, right? So it's just really important to think about that. If you hear the buying cues, and I can't remember which episode we have talked about on Coffee is for Closers, but go back in time and find the one on buying cues. That's where this is discussed in depth. But you want to make sure you listen to some buying cues. And remember, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you got to take a caring pill. And my friend Monique Marvez, she has this in her act. And, because Monique talks a lot about men and women relationships. And she will say that if men just took a pill that told them to care a little bit more, they'd have women flocking to them all the time and jumping their bones, right? But it's really true, because all women want to know is that you care. That's all we care about, is that you care. And if you just took a caring pill, then everything would be a lot better. But it's actually the same when we're serving our clients and wanting to choose our prospects. You have to care. And people will actually pay premium dollars if you care a lot. And what I'm telling you, when I work with my clients and help people, I care on a whole nother level, especially when I'm teaching my CPAs their sales skills. It's so cool because I care so much about hitting their revenue goals that I think I slightly care more than they care. And when you can care more than they care, then people will pay you all day long whatever you want. And I do believe that. And this is from Theodore Roosevelt. This is actually a quote from him. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you just care more than actually that you know, that will trump everything. So very, very important. So that concludes our Coffee is for Closers, episode number 41. It was an awesome having you all here. I actually, as you can tell, I like when people show up. So I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. And now we're going to get into some Q&A. So if you have a question for me on this topic, put it down below. And we'll get into some Q&A. Anything you want. 5 minutes, you guys. 5 minutes. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? 5 minutes. You know they're sold when they start talking about how they will use the product or account in their life. Yes, totally. That's another buying cue. Business makes an entry point into their customers' lives by how a business solves their customer problem. Correct. Todd Howell, Sunkissed. I don't know what that means. You make a good point about money being evidence when you make a decision. Money is the evidence when someone makes a decision. 1,000%. Sean, you didn't say anything. Okay. Coffee roasters. Gotta go roast some beans. Thank you. Go roast some beans and send me some. Great take. Cool. All right. Any questions, you guys? Any questions? Put them down below. Thank you, Amy, for putting the questions down below. You're so awesome. We need to go to dinner, and we need to go to Pat Flynn's event. I was just telling Jackie that, so. All right, you guys. Well, if you don't have any questions, it was awesome to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, or me, on Coffee is for Closers. I did not have a guest today. I said us, and it was just me. But I think I need to do just me shows at least twice a month. I love my guests. I actually found another guest, my friend Aileen, who I was talking about. So Aileen and I will do some sort of teaching segment. She's got a book called How to Close in 60 Seconds. She was like a top salesperson in timeshares, and that's got to be one of the most difficult jobs on earth. But she has the same take as me, Shamika, Donald, and all my other sales pals. So we will make sure to have Aileen here as a guest coming up. Any other questions? Jeff Campbell. Sometimes a smile is evidence and measurement, right? Yeah, a smile is really good. However, if you're selling on the phone or you're not with people in person, then you don't know if they're smiling or not. Maybe like a laugh, because you can hear a laugh. Etta, any sessions I can listen to for selling at trade shows? Yeah, listen to the one with, I did one with, what's my friend's name? Damn. Etta, I can't think of her name right now. I'll put it in the comments later. But Emily Page. Go to thepitchqueen.com, go to the live show tab, and go to the one I did with Emily Page. It was probably a month or two in, so probably episode 8 to 12. Maybe Amy can post it down below. But it's the one about trade shows, and Emily Page is the bomb at that stuff, and we talked a ton about it. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me right here on Coffee is for Closers, talking about the dangers of selling after your prospect is already sold. Hopefully this helps you prevent all the dangerous fires so you don't have to put out any fires. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.